So I realize that pretty much everyone else has shared their thoughts on the newly released Season 6 Red Band trailer for Game of Thrones, but who would I be if I didn't also share my own thoughts, theories, and predictions on the matter? I'll be breaking things down location by location in this video for the trailer. As always, spoiler warning, and without wasting any more time, let's jump right into this one. So I think a great place to start discussing is King's Landing. Right off the bat, I think me and many people's favorite moment was this little exchange right here.
Order your man to step aside or there will be violence.
I choose violence.
Obviously, I didn't think Cersei was broken by any means last season. She is just going to emerge pissed off and angry at least at some point in the season, and I think she will completely demolish the Sparrows, and that's assuming she doesn't also try to burn down King's Landing by the end of the season as well. At the beginning, Jaime also mentioned the following to Cersei.
We're the only ones who matter, and everything they've taken from us we're going to take back and more.
And I do think that while this is an indication it's going to be Cersei and Jaime against the world, so to speak, I still wonder if he won't eventually fall away from her at some point this season and, leave her to her own devices. Sort of like in the books, or maybe they'll decide to change that plotline up entirely and keep them sort of together until the end. Obviously, we don't get that indication from the trailer, but they naturally want to try and maintain a semblance of mystery for this season, or even try to build up to a shocking finale where maybe, Jaime seemingly unexpectedly kills Cersei as opposed to protect her like they seem to indicate in this trailer. Also, there is another clip where we see her marching with Frankenmountain and Qyburn, and I am inclined to think this might be her trial. Only reason I hesitate to say that it is that she seems to be unaccompanied by any guards, but of course she might not feel like she needs any with that beast by her side. We also get a glimpse of the High Sparrow with Margaery, as well as a clip of what we know to be Tyrell forces outside the Sept of Baelor to assumedly get Margaery out of the Sparrow's custody. But considering the clip we have of her kneeling to the High Sparrow, I think she's going to fake a sense of piety to get herself out of the clutches, and so no blood will be shed in this specific scene. And you can find out more on my thoughts about her next season in this predictions video right here. Next up, the North and the Wall. There are a few things I want to talk about with this area. The first shot I want to mention, and I have to thank the talented Game of Thrones artist Ertaç Altinus for pointing this one out. Sir Davos is standing over what looks like the remainder of burnt wood, or even a body, and I feel confident in saying that this is almost certainly the remains of Princess Shireen, who burned, of course, last season. I can only assume Davos either marches out immediately to find this evidence of what happened during the last battle against the Boltons, or perhaps he comes across this scene later on in the series. Maybe once/if he decides to assist Sansa, Rickon, or even a revived Jon Snow against the Boltons. Speaking of Davos and Jon, this last scene gave me some real chills, and I have really no idea what to think. My gut reaction is to say that he is about to kill some of the culprits responsible for Jon's murder, who may or may not be the few men around him, and another part of me wonders if this isn't an aspect of some ritual to revive Jon Snow. I really don't know, but I will tell you some things I noticed from this scene. It looks as though Jon is leaning against Ghost, and although we only see Ghost for a couple of seconds, I found it a bit strange that he was absolutely and completely still, especially given Davos is drawing a sword, but it could also be that they just used a dummy fake wolf for this scene rather than have a CGI'd Ghost. Either way, it did make me think Ghost might be dead, though again, there doesn't seem to be any evidence of injury on his body. So for this scene, I really want to hear what you folks think. Oh, and before I forget, we have basically two glimpses of Mel either looking or sounding sad. In the second shot, she is about to disrobe, but her facial expression almost seems like worry, so I do wonder if she isn't even about to present herself as a sacrifice for someone or something. Again, I have no idea, and I want to hear your thoughts on that specific aspect of her storyline. Moving a little south, closer to Winterfell, though, we get one clip of a flayed body burning, and many have said they think this might be Stannis. While I could see them doing that, my gut reaction was a bit uncertain since I assumed Brienne will have beheaded him already. My crackpot side likes to think that Ramsay maybe eventually betrays Roose and has his own father flayed and burned instead. How they'll do that and why, I don't know, but it seemed like that could be the way they're going, considering the scene immediately before this one in the trailer is one in which Ramsay looks from an empty room towards his father with pretty much a blank expression. So again, I do wonder about that. Evidently, I feel confident in saying that Sansa will reach the safety of another northern house in the Umbers, who are obviously quite a bit closer to the wall, and considering it looks like we later see a battle between Bolton men and what I think are a mixture of Northmen and wildlings, well, it looks like I'll be sticking with yet another prediction I've made in the past. And I'll say the same for at least part of my predictions on Littlefinger as well, since we see him in what I think is the north, and I can only assume he is bringing an army from the Vale to help Sansa fight the Boltons. Next up, the Greyjoys. So we get a few Greyjoy clips. I'll start with this one, which is pretty much guaranteed to be Balon Greyjoy's younger brother, Euron. It seems like he is uncovering his hood by a tower on a bridge, and my bold prediction for this is that in the TV show, he will be the one to kill Balon by pushing him over the bridge and into the water. In the books, Balon's death is accidental and Euron isn't present, but this is one thing I think they might change up for the show, just to demonstrate how deadly this Greyjoy can really be. The next shot we get looks like it will be Euron's baptism to the drowned god, and maybe even his proclamation as King of the Iron Islands, given the fact that we see a priest of the drowned god in 2 shots. And I'm assuming that might also be his other brother, Aeron Greyjoy, Aeron Damphair in the books, as he is confirmed to appear in Season 6. This last shot I want to talk about isn't confirmed by any means, but it looks to me like it could be Theon's sister, Yara, kissing a seemingly naked woman. Again, nothing confirmed, but it would make for an interesting twist if they make her character a lesbian on the show. Granted, I do wonder if this fact won't allow the likes of Euron to discredit her from being seen as a viable ruler over the Iron Islands, and solidify his position through that. Now, moving east as far as Dany goes, I also think things are fairly self-explanatory here. She is going back to Vaes Dothrak with the Dothraki who she meets, since this is where the wives of dead Khals are supposed to go to rule after their husbands die. This seems evident to me when we see her look up from among a crowd of Dothraki to the hoof of a stone horse, and of course Jorah and Daario are also traveling through Essos to reach her, given the fact they find the ring she dropped. There are a few other scenes that, again, I think are fairly self-explanatory. The one with Bran standing in front of the Night's King, I can only assume is him having a vision either of the past, present, or future, and will probably help us understand the truth behind the White Walkers and why they are trying to march south. Of course, I like to think the scene with the man wielding 2 swords is Rhaegar Targaryen's best friend and Kingsguard member in Arthur Dayne, fighting Ned Stark and his men. We'll probably also be seeing this through one of Bran's visions, which I'm hoping will at long last be the final revelation of Jon Snow's parentage. Last but not least, I'm willing to bet Howland Reed is one of the seemingly 5 men accompanying Ned against Arthur Dayne, and I feel like it might be one of those 2 guys I've circled, but again, I want to know what you folks think. Well, folks, I'm going to end this video here. I could talk about a few more aspects of the trailer, but I will be saving those details and more for a small council discussion I'll be doing with a few other YouTubers on my friend James Johnson's channel on Saturday, March 19th, so stay tuned for that. As always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe button if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all next time.